All hands on deck. Key ministers called in to address the demonstrations across the country. But in the end, no one had much of an update.
We've understood the impact. We had a productive meeting.
So we're going to continue to work very hard to resolve this peacefully as quickly as possible.
The Prime Minister canceled a trip abroad to deal with a growing domestic crisis.
I understand how worrisome this is for so many Canadians and difficult for many people and families across the country. We're going to continue to focus on resolving this situation quickly and peacefully, and that's what we're going to do.
Despite today's meeting, protests continue across the country, and tents remain by the tracks.
I'm doing that for my children, my grandchildren.
The Mohawks of Tyendinaga have been camping beside the main CN rail line that runs from Montreal to Toronto for the past 12 days. Their demand that RCMP leave Wet'suwet'en territory puts Ottawa in a tough spot. The government says it doesn't direct police operations. Still, political calls are growing for the Prime Minister to solve this.
It's unacceptable that we cannot give services to passengers and for our goods also, for our economy.
These are important issues. And what I've long been calling for is that we need the federal government to play a role.
You'll also hear that sentiment back at the Mohawk camp.
I think Justin should come down here and talk to all of the First Nations and have a meeting and figure this out.
And any solution needs to be a lasting one.
And don't change it 10 years from now or next year, so we're all back out here again. We should all be at home with our families instead of everybody standing out on this side street here.
The focus now, what's going to happen in the next few days, and can a peaceful resolution be achieved? Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Tyendinaga.
Okay, so time for some needed perspective from Vashi Capellos, host of Power and Politics. Vashi, not a lot of concrete steps today. How much longer can Justin Trudeau maintain this position?
Well, I've been speaking to a few people who are close to the discussions going on in the federal government about this. And what I can tell you, Adrian, is that there is a lot of resistance from the Prime Minister and those around him to the idea put forth by the Conservatives to sort of send in the RCMP. They're worried about further escalating things. But at the same time, the discussions, at least what my sources are telling me, is there is almost an internal deadline being set looking towards the end of this week. Because of the size of the economic impact, tens of millions of dollars a day, they're worried about it progressing beyond that. And so the discussion, at least, is that something will have to change. How that happens is still to be determined, but they are looking at that deadline towards the end of this week.
Okay, but the end of the week kind of seems like a long way away when you consider that tomorrow means question period, means more condemnations for the Prime Minister. What's your sense of how that's going to play out?
Yeah, I think it's important to put this against the backdrop or add the context that this is all happening in a minority government with a reduced mandate for the Liberals. And so far, since the beginning of 2020, Justin Trudeau has had to sort of be faced with all of these issues that are, at least at the outset, out of his control. They are dominating the agenda on Parliament Hill, not the stuff that he wants to put forward. And so what I think you're going to see tomorrow is exactly that. You're going to see criticism from the NDP, the Conservatives, you name it, all the parties there. The genesis of their criticism towards the Prime Minister will be different, but it will all come to a point and be focused on basically them telling the Prime Minister that they think he's doing a bad job. And that's going to dominate everything on Parliament Hill on this one issue over the next few days. And likely that's to the detriment of both the Prime Minister and Cabinet. Adrian?
All right, we'll see where this goes. Thanks for this, Vashi.